We have another year in the bag, so it's time to talk about the best films released in 2024. There were so many amazing movies coming out this year that it was hard for me to put this one together, but I managed. On that note, I have a couple of quick things to say before starting. This list is 100% biased to my taste. I try to be as critical and thoughtful as I can when making my main reviews to inform all types of viewers, but you will not be seeing that with this list. If you want the most impartial top 10 list, you won't find it here. Also, I won't be making a top 10 worst list this year. I've decided I don't really enjoy shitting on anyone's work. I'll do it when it feels necessary for my main reviews, but I'm not dedicating a whole top 10 video to something I don't think is good. I don't judge any critic that makes top 10 worst lists. I've just come to the conclusion they're not for me. That being said, the year usually has at least one film that offends me on a personal level, so I will tell you my least favorite film of 2024 before jumping into what I loved. That may invalidate what I just said, but hey, I'm only human. Let's start with the trash. Yeah, I hated everything about the Crow remake. Not only was it boring as hell, but it's also a prime example of what's terrible about modern Hollywood remakes. Let's take a cult classic that's widely loved by its fans and shit out an uninspired trash heap that appeals to no one. But hey, as long as we make a quick buck, am I right? It turns out there is still some hope that filmmakers will get the message if we as audiences keep voting with our wallets. That statement goes for good movies too. Please keep supporting your local theaters and solid movies by going out to see them. And please keep avoiding garbage like The Crow. Alright, enough negativity. Let's talk about the good stuff. Starting off with the biggest surprise of the year for me. When I saw the trailer for The Fall Guy, I rolled my eyes assuming it was going to be a cheesy romantic comedy. It is, but the movie reminded me that films like that can still be remarkably enjoyable. If you sprinkle in two leads that have great chemistry and a solid script to boot, you can truly make something special. Plus, I love that the whole project was a love letter to the unsung heroes that are stuntmen and women. They don't get enough credit, and I'm glad The Fall Guy showed them some appreciation. Speaking of things I needed to be reminded of, Alien Romulus showed me that alien movies can still be good. That is a fact that I had all but forgotten. But here we are. Not only that, but it also shows that the new films in the franchise don't need to be super lore heavy. In fact, I'd prefer if they weren't. Sometimes we just need to have a fun 2-hour romp through sci-fi horror. And that's good enough. Good enough to be on my 9 spot. Do you know what I like about A Quiet Place Day 1? It's surprisingly human. Any film that can get me to mull over life and how much I appreciate it is good in my book. Adding some intense moments and carnage is just the cherry on top. The franchise has managed to be good for far longer than I would have anticipated, so keep them coming. As long as they keep reworking the formula, we may get a few more solid movies to add to my collection. "2024 was dominated by really good horror movies, and The First Omen started the year out with a bang. This movie genuinely unsettles me, with themes of distrust and graphic imagery. As if giving birth isn't dramatic enough, imagine if the devil was coming out of your coochie, ladies.
I would prefer not to.
Also, the film showed me that Nell Tiger-Free is a star that everyone should watch out for. She impressed me in The First Omen, and I'm looking forward to the work she brings us in the future. You know, 2024 wasn't only dominated by solid horror movies, but also memorable performances. One of the best being Nicolas Cage as LongLegs. Cage captured my attention in the creepiest of ways during this film, and I've grown to respect him more, due to his ability to be so self-aware of his odd persona. It also helps that LongLegs is one of the best supernatural crime films I've ever seen. I've been itching for a movie in the vein of classics such as Seven and Silence of the Lambs. I'm happy to say I got it with LongLegs. This is another surprise of the year for me, and despite splitting an audience, I can't deny how much it resonated with me. All I wanted out of Fly Me to the Moon when seeing it was a funny, well-acted film, and I got that. But what I didn't expect is how inspiring it would be. By the time we get to the actual launch of the Apollo mission, I was mystified by what we as a species can accomplish. And in this day and age, optimism is in short supply. This movie mainlined that feeling into me. I had to put it high on the list, or I'd be giving into the cynicism that embodies my life. And I just couldn't do that. I love a well-made action movie. The genre is filled with so much generic schlock that it's easy to completely dismiss one whenever they come out. Then George Miller comes along to direct a visual epic, and I'm captivated for 2.5 hours. The effects in this movie filled me with adrenaline, and the surprisingly focused performances only heightened that experience. On that note, I loved watching Anya kick ass with her performance. Furiosa just handles business. Deadpool and Wolverine.
This guy sucks.
Like I said in the intro, this is my biased list strictly based on what I enjoyed most in theaters. And this movie gave me that enjoyment. I've heard all the arguments about it just being a reference fest, with no real structure, and that's all valid. But I don't care. I had a shit-eating grin on my face for 90% of the runtime. And if that's wrong, I don't want to be right. Seeing Hugh Jackman come back and fill the shoes of this iconic character was awesome. And in my opinion, Ryan Reynolds and the rest of the crew managed to bring audiences a fun movie that didn't tarnish the legacy of Logan. Here we have the latest entry into my top 10 list, but by God was it good. Nosferatu is a gothic experience that captivated me from start to end. Visually, the film is breathtaking, and the performances are some of the best I've ever seen. Who knew a love story could be so toxic? In the best of ways, of course. Robert Eggers is proving with each of his films that he is a standout in the field of modern directors. I may not like all of his projects, but I truly loved everything about his most recent work. It would have been destined for my one spot if another movie didn't come out this year. What can I say about Dune Part 2 that hasn't already been said? It's a sci-fi masterpiece in my eyes, and it embodies everything I go to the movies for. The characters are nuanced, the action is well shot, and like I said in my review, this series could be just as iconic as Star Wars or Lord of the Rings. If you ask me, it's already there. We could stop right here and have one of, if not the best 2-movie runs in cinematic history. Let's be honest though, that's just not how we do things in the modern era of filmmaking. We're going to milk this cow until it's bone dry.
I want you to make me sad.
Nevertheless, I'll love these 2 movies forever and watch them for years to come. I had no hesitation putting it at my number 1, because it just hit that hard. Thank you to all the cast members and writers for bringing this one to life. And of course, thank you to the modern master that is Denis Villeneuve. There you have it, my top films of 2024. What a good year to be a movie fan. If you want to see my full reviews for each of my picks, I will include a link to them in the description below. But I'd like to give a quick disclaimer on that. I have only recently reached a level of quality in my videos that I'm happy with, so expect a lot of issues with some of those reviews if you end up watching them. I do plan on remastering my old stuff as time goes on, but until then, I'll leave them up to remind me to keep improving. Also, I wanted to extend a thank you to everyone who watches my content. I'm still a very small channel, but that hasn't prevented me from getting to talk to some really interesting individuals who tune in. That's really cool, and I can't put into words how much joy I get out of making these videos and getting different perspectives from people about the media I love. Here's hoping that 2025 is better than 2024. That's it for me. And again, thank you for your time.